Chapter 1. It was a dark and stormy night, and unnatural over the Netherlands. Lying in his bed, Fisenberg shivered. For a summer night, the air was cold and the sky was black. It was almost as if something evil lurked out there in the shadows. Fisenberg rolled over, clutching his pillow, and tried to fall back to sleep. But a worry nagged in the back of his mind. Something wasn't right. No matter how hard he tried, some ghostly force prevented him from sleeping. It made him uneasy. With a sigh, he rolled out of bed, pulled on his silk robe, and poured himself a cup of water from the pitcher on his nightstand. Then quiet left his room. The horse was silent as he walked in the dark. He did not know where he was going or why, but his body seemed to move on its own accord. He was being drawn by an unseen power, past his father's bedroom, past the dining hall, past the master bedroom, and out onto the torrents he went. With the moon hidden behind thick clouds, it was nearly impossible to see in the inky black night. But something lying on the path to Fisenberg's right made us gasp in shock. A body! A body! Chapter 2. Fisenberg shouted. He leapt over the torrents, railing end onto the ground, running toward the fallen form as fast as he could. Tree branches scratched at his skin and pulled at his clothes, but he didn't mind. Heart pounding, he fell to his knees on the pathway, placed a gentle hand on the figure's forehead. Now that he was closer, he could see she was a citizen from Rome. She was wounded badly. He could see she had blood matted in her hair. Is there anything I can do to help? He asked. Fisenberg sadly shook his head. Nothing that the healers tried are helping any. It might help if you just sat with her. She needs to see a friendly face when she wakes up from this ordeal, and you are the closest thing she has right now. I understand, said Fisenberg, and I will stay with her for as long as it takes. I will not let her die. Chapter 3. With that, Fisenberg turned and hurried to the room where the wounded warrior was being housed. She was surrounded by healers, all of whom wore the same concerned expression. They had washed her body and dressed her wounds with healing salve, but still she showed no signs of improvement. She breathes and asks, "Where am I?" Fisenberg jerked awake with a start when he heard the words spoken. He stared down at his patient, an immense wave of relief coursing through his body. She was alive! And from the looks of things, she was on her way to make a full recovery. You are in the Netherlands, Fisenberg told her. I found you last night, lying unconscious and nearly dead on a path coming from the forest. I carried you inside, my father's healers tended to your wound. Please, tell me your name and how you came to be here. Chapter 4. My name is Kris, she said. I come from Rome. I was on an errand for my father to deliver an important message. But last night, all I remember is riding through the forest when suddenly I was attacked by a group of orcs. There were at least 7. I tried to fight them off, but there were too many. That is only what I can recall. I don't know how I came to be here and why I am not dead. Fisenberg smiled at her. The stars must shine favorably on you to live through such an ordeal. That is more than mere luck. It was more than luck that Kris had wound up in the Netherlands and he'd found her. Now that they were together, it was if fate had lent a hand. Kris was meant to be here and Fisen was meant to find her. Kris has also been one of the most beautiful individuals he had ever seen. Her slick black hair contrasted with beautiful brown eyes. Her sculpted body hidden by the bed linens was a further attraction. Fisen could hardly suppress his desire to run his head. Shut up, kitty! Fisen could hardly suppress his desire to run his hand through her soft hair, but he kept himself under control. Kris had just barely survived a nearly fatal encounter. Now wasn't the time for romance. Chapter 5. Within 3 days, Kris had improved enough to leave her bed. Fisenberg had given her a new set of clothes, and now she was able to wander the corridors and gardens by herself. But one thing troubled her: Fisenberg's absence. Since the morning when she had first awoken in the Netherlands, she hadn't seen Fisenberg at all. It was as if her rescuer had simply disappeared. She had asked his father where his son could be, but Eisenbart had no answer. He was gone without a trace. Kris decided to speak with him again and probably thank him for saving her life, but she also wanted to see the handsome Dutch one more. She couldn't explain it, but she felt she had a deep connection with him, or either thought by the life-saving bond by some power. She knew that Fisen was someone special, but also someone she had to see again. Chapter 6. It wasn't until the 6th day, after Kris had recovered, that Fisen returned. He rode up the same path where he had found Kris, dragging a net filled with the heads of the orcs behind him. "Here are your orcs," he called to her. "I found them hiding in a cave not far away from here." Kris stared in surprise, eyes growing wide. "You killed all of them? By yourself?" "I cannot let such dangerous creatures roam free in our lands," he replied. "And I did it for you. They nearly killed you. I do not want anything like that to happen again." Kris could feel her heart pounding as he spoke. He killed all these orcs for her. Before she could stop herself, she leapt at Fisen and her arms around his neck, kissing the warrior on his lips. Fisen laughed in surprise. "What was that for?" "Just a friendly thank you," she said. She smiled, but suddenly saw a serious look in the warrior's eyes. His Fisen smile faded. "What is wrong?" she asked, a little worried. "Kris," he began, "I have something to confess to you. The first morning you were here, I thought you were so beautiful. I wanted to kiss you, but then I didn't know how you'd react." Kiss me?" she asked in shock. "I told myself I shouldn't because of the terrible ordeal you had suffered, but these past few days, I could only think of you, and now..." "Fisen," she sighed his name. "All the time you were gone, and I worried I would never see you again." Fisen lifted his hand to gently stroke her cheek. "I am sorry I ran off like that. I should have said something." Taking a deep breath, Kris said, "There's something I have been considering over the past 7 days. I think we were meant to find each other. What happened to me was not a mere accident. I was meant to come here. You were meant to rescue me." A smile had been plastered across Fisen's face as she had spoke. "You know," he said, "I had been thinking the same. That night when I found you, I'd been worried and unable to think. Some strange power had led me to the Terrans. And that was when I found you." Kris then took his hand. "So you think we are meant for each other?" "I have no doubt." Slowly, Fisen leaned in and kissed her on the lips. "I love you," he said to her. "I love you too," she whispered in return. Oh God, that was so beautiful. Well, Pebbles, I hope you enjoyed yet another fanfiction. Thank you, Kris, you very creative son of a bitch, for sending that in. Our love and romance shall always venture on. If any of you guys have any form of fanfiction, send it to me, share it with me, anything like that. If you want me to read it, I'll of course read it. And if you want me to make a video of it, I'll make a video of it. Thank you for this time, Pebbles. Rock on and throw a pebble at the like button. I still need something like that. And if you guys have any suggestions, I don't. Give me something. Rock on.